Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Grief isn't just a theme in The Walking Dead, it's the beating heart of its story. It's a force that challenges every character, shaping who they become. Do they break under the weight of loss, or rise above it forever changed? Telltale didn't just tell a story about survival, they created a narrative masterpiece that shot them to the top of the gaming zeitgeist. It's a tale about loss that resonated with players worldwide. It's about the love we share, the pain of losing it, and the struggle to move forward. It's what makes The Walking Dead more than just a game. It's an emotional journey that stays with you long after the credits roll. If you'll come with me, I'm going to tackle how The Walking Dead confronts grief head-on and why it endures as Telltale's magnum opus. The Walking Dead's life began as a comic series written by Robert Kirkman. You might know him from this, or from his other work, but while Invincible was a reimagining of the superhero genre, The Walking Dead was about human fragility, how people cope with loss, heartbreak, and the unimaginable. The series exploded into a mainstream success when it was adapted into a live-action show. Its massive popularity sparked a franchise that included spin-offs, merchandise, and even video games. The first, and arguably most beloved of these, was Telltale's The Walking Dead. The game is a narrative-driven, point-and-click adventure that puts storytelling front and center, and man, what a story it is. You play as Lee Everett, a man trying to navigate the early days of the apocalypse. But what truly sets this journey apart is Clementine, a young girl you find alone in her home. Without her parents around, you decide to take her under your care, and from that moment on, she becomes your anchor. The choices that you make in the story are colored by the lessons you want to leave her with. Do you try to shield her from the horrors of the apocalypse and preserve her innocence? Or do you prepare her for the harshness of survival, even if it means hardening her?
Good. Don't lock your elbows. Okay, let's take your first shot. Squeeze the trigger smoothly and I'll cover your ears. Nice and easy.
Nice and easy.
Either way, Clementine becomes your surrogate daughter in a world that's completely falling apart. And speaking of, let's dive into the game right as Lee's world has completely shattered.
Well, I reckon you didn't do it then.
We begin the story with Lee in the back of a police vehicle. Prior to the events of the game, Lee murdered a man who was having sex with his wife. But what I find absolutely fascinating, however, is the conversation that he has with the police officer. He mentions how often people gave him their sob stories and how they're all completely innocent. It shows how much people refuse to accept responsibility just so they can escape punishment.
They caught the fucker red-handed, stabbing his wife, cutting her up as the boys came through the door. He sits in my car screaming bloody murder that it wasn't him. I think he actually believed it himself.
This conversation and how you choose for Lee to respond to the officer is the perfect mirror to what kind of person your Lee is. Is he the kind of person who lashes out and begrudges those who wrong him? Does he accept the mistakes he makes and moves forward with the intention to be better? Will he choose to put himself over others, or will he sacrifice his own sake for total strangers? It's often said that people show their true selves in their most dire moments. All too frequently, this manifests in the worst that humanity can become. When you have nothing else to lose, what's the point? Why care? Throughout the entire game, we're forced to see the most desperate and worst versions of people when the undead walk the streets. But at the same time, we still get to see people trying their best to make the most of the cards that they're dealt. People who continue to be good to others for no reason other than it's the right thing to do. The question is, who are you going to be when the world comes crashing down? Surviving the crash, Lee crawls out of the ruined police car and finds the officer dead at his feet.
Officer? God damn. Officer? God damn. Officer?
Even all these years later, getting the keys from his body still unnerves me. Telltale did a really amazing job at ramping up the tension here, and it's also a really good use of a jump scare.
Officer? Holy shit!
Scrambling back, Lee tries his best to reason with the officer, but he ultimately has to shoot the man with his own gun. I can only imagine the sheer panic going through his head at the moment. A man just came back to life and tried to kill him. To make things worse, he realizes that the forest is absolutely teeming with the undead. With his leg injured from the crash, he's barely able to outpace the horde and climb over a fence into someone else's backyard. Finally, a moment to take a breath and take stock of the situation. He walks into the house and, okay, I need to point this out. This man finds a glass of water just sitting on the countertop and raw dogs it right then and there. I don't care how thirsty you are. You don't just walk up to a random glass of water in someone else's home and drink it. Do you have any idea what's in there? The germs that are just swimming in your body right now. Okay, now that I have that off my chest, Lee learns that the house belongs to a family of 3, 2 parents and their daughter. An answering machine reveals that the parents went to a vacation in Savannah and left their daughter with a babysitter. Their final message, however, leaves very little to the imagination regarding their fate.
Clementine, baby. If you can hear this, call the police. That's 911. We love you. We love you. We love you.
A walkie-talkie then goes off and we get to meet Clementine. Clementine is practically Telltale's national treasure, and for good reason. Child characters tend to be really difficult to pull off. In many cases, they can come off as petulant, ungrateful, and downright annoying. One of the characters we run into later unfortunately gets way too much flack in that regard, but we'll cover that later. Clementine, however, manages to thread the needle of someone that we have to protect and an independent character who helps us all the same. A good example of this is when Lee gets attacked by her zombified babysitter. As he's moments away from being bit, she rushes down from her treehouse and hands Lee a hammer that saves his life. Clementine is more than capable of pulling her weight when push comes to shove. This sentiment carries all the way to the later seasons. By the way, if you guys want me to cover those games, leave a comment below. While you're there, you can sub to the channel as well. The support is greatly appreciated. Regardless, it's clear that Clementine isn't going to be safe if she's left alone. So with little choice left, Lee decides to take after Clementine. The game then asks if we want to leave now or wait until the cover of darkness, which, no! I'm not gonna walk around in the dark with a bunch of zombies in the streets. I'm just a normal man. I'm not... So like normal people, we head outside in the middle of the day. We then find 2 dudes, Sean and Chet, who are trying to clear the streets so that they can head back home. They seem like nice enough people, so Lee and Clem help them out in exchange for a ride out of the city. Sean then takes us home where we get to meet his dad, Herschel Green. Yes, the same one from the show, but the canon of the game is technically supposed to be aligned with the comics, and even that gets changed later down the line. I'll explain later. He doesn't exactly believe that the zombie situation is as much of a problem as Sean and Lee insist it is. Now, I don't exactly blame him here. Most people would have a hard time believing that a full-on apocalypse is happening right out their door. Denial can usually start out as an attempt to rationalize yourself during a traumatic event. Things can't be that bad, right? The government is probably finding a solution to the zombies as we speak. Military intervention, cure research, something, right? Regardless of the truth, Herschel allows Lee and Clementine to sleep in the barn for the night.
I love you, baby.
The morning comes and we get to meet with Kenny. Now, I don't care what anybody says. Kenny is my man. I have played this game several times over the past decade and I have never, ever committed to a playthrough where he isn't my number 2 guy. Yes, he has his faults. He can be petty when things don't go his way and he holds a grudge something fierce. But out of anybody in this entire game series, there are very little people I would trust more than Kenny, barring Lee himself, of course. We also get to meet with his family, Katja and Duck. Now, Duck has received a lot of hate over the years. I kinda understand where it all comes from. Stacking him up against Clementine, he's practically her exact opposite. He's loud, he causes problems, and he contributes very little to the group. The thing is, he's just a kid. I suppose a big part of why I'm such a big Duck defender is that he reminds me a lot of myself when I was younger, so when I see a lot of people dogging on him, I can't help but feel for little guy, you know? Katja! I don't really have a lot to say about her. At least not yet. I will say though that I do appreciate her warmth and kindness. We aren't going to be getting a lot of that in this game, so we take it where it counts. Sean then comes up to us asking for help to reinforce the fence. An emergency springs, however, when Duck accidentally runs over his foot with a tractor right as a group of walkers arrive. Faced with a choice between saving Sean and Duck, I save Duck. This is another thing I will never budge on. You save kids in an emergency situation, that's just what you're supposed to do. It's just kind of unfortunate that Sean had to die in the process. As biased as I am with Kenny though, we really could have saved him if he didn't run away. Kenny's one-track mind when it comes to protecting his family does come at the cost of other people sometimes, and this isn't going to be the first time it happens, nor is it going to be the worst case. Herschel manages to shoot the walkers though, and he is rightfully pissed.
Sorry! Your son is alive. You don't get to be sorry. And you didn't even try to help.
There's a tragedy to Herschel that I don't think is highlighted enough. By all accounts, he's got a good head on his shoulders. His immediate instinct when we first arrived was to ask Clementine if she felt safe with Lee. That's the kind of mindset that comes from a kind-hearted but cautious man. He's even nice enough to let a handful of strangers stay on his farm. Really, his only mistake was not knowing how awful things got this fast. His slowness to adapt to the world cost him his own flesh and blood, the worst thing that could ever be taken away from you. In his grief, he lashes out at the closest people he can blame.
Get out. Get the fuck out of here!
Kicked out of the farm, Kenny offers Lee and Clementine a ride to Macon. Coincidentally, this is where Lee's family lives, so he agrees. Making it to the city, the truck runs out of gas. The group's naivete nearly gets them killed as they accidentally call out to a group of walkers. Duck nearly gets bit but is saved by a woman with a gun. She calls out to the rest of the group and gets everyone into a nearby pharmacy. This is where we get to meet the rest of the major characters. The gun-toting reporter is Carly. Funnily enough, I always thought she was a lot more, competent the first time I played this game. It's not that she's useless, but she does have a few, funny ha-has, so to speak.
There are no batteries in this thing.
What now?
You know that there are no batteries in that thing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. No.
I can try to find some. Needs two.
Thanks. I wouldn't even really know what to look for.
One of the others is Lily, a strong-willed woman with a military background. I find her to be one of the more complex characters in the group, mainly because of her association with Larry, her hot-headed father who we'll get to in a little bit. Glenn, yes, that Glenn, is the most hopeful person in the group. He unfortunately doesn't stick around too long though, as he's fated to join with Rick's group, ultimately losing to a best-of-3 against Tekken's most famous character. Finally, we have Doug, who's there. Sorry, I just genuinely don't have anything to say about the guy. He's nice, I guess. I just never feel anything about him. Even in the save files where I save him, spoiler, he dies in this playthrough. I don't care about him. I'm sorry. Any Doug defenders in chat, tell me what you like about him, because I just do not see it. Moving on. The group has mixed reactions to the rescue mission. Lily and Larry are both upset at the possibility of getting found by the walkers and argue about the practicality of putting everyone in danger. Things turn from bad to worse though, as Larry accuses Duck of getting bit by a walker. Kenny, of course, jumps in to defend his son, and I gotta say, I do not give a rat's ass what Larry's opinion is on the matter. We haven't even checked if Duck has any wounds on him, and he's already jumping the gun saying we need to chuck him outside? You just know Larry's the kind of hypocrite who'd hide a bite wound on his daughter if it ever happened. Given the information we have, I decide to have Lee set his foot down.
No! You don't touch that boy! You don't touch anybody! I've got a little girl I'm trying to protect in here too. You wanna get violent, you old fuck? Well, come on! You better have a plan to kill me though, because it's me before anyone else in here!
In the middle of the argument, Clementine gets attacked by a walker hiding in the restroom. You'd think that the group would have cleared it out by now, but nope. Notice how Larry just stands there like a statue while Lee, hobbling around on one good leg, is the only one trying to help. Thankfully, Carly still got her gun and she puts the walker down. The gunshot almost draws the walkers outside, but they eventually pass by. Larry immediately starts yelling again, only to suffer a heart attack. Now, I am not gonna lie, I would be petty enough to let nature take its course, but the rest of the group decides to look for medication to save his life. They are in a pharmacy after all. As it turns out, the pharmacy actually belonged to Lee's parents. A little convenient, sure, but I'll give the game a pass on this one, mostly because of what it says about Lee. Lily mentions they found a couple of bodies in the office. When we get there, it's pretty clear they were Lee's mom and dad. He buries his feelings deep, but you can tell that it's killing him. He even snaps at Clementine when she asks why he's acting weird. People protect themselves from grief by pretending that it isn't there. These emotions get treated like enemies. Too often, it feels like acknowledging them will somehow make things worse. But all that really does is make you push away the people that you care about. It's interesting how much of a recurring pattern this is with Lee. Parental figures often carry a heavy burden, quietly, constantly. For most of the story, he has to stay stoic and level-headed to lead the group, no matter how much it eats at him. It's that tragic selflessness that is part of the reason why people love his character even after all these years. Lee also finds a photo of his family, which reveals that he has a brother who is currently still unaccounted for. Just then, Carly walks into the office and drops a bombshell. She knows that Lee's a convicted murderer. Makes sense considering that she is a reporter. She's not planning to out him, but she does warn him. Secrets like this don't stay buried. If he doesn't come clean, someone else will. Before Lee can even process that, Glenn radios in. He went out to a nearby motel scavenging for supplies and now he needs backup. Lee and Carly arrive to find Glenn, who quickly explains that a woman is cornered by a group of walkers. Clearing them out is easy enough, but things quickly turn grim when they realize that she's been bitten. Now they already know that a bite means death, but this is the first time they're face to face with someone who isn't ripped apart or already turning. She's still alive, still aware, still lucid. She sees Carly's gun and asks for one thing: a painless end.
You have a gun.
So,
Can I borrow it?
what do you mean borrow?
Give it to me? I can just, end this, and then there's no problem.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Please! I don't want to be one of them. They're satanic.
With no other way to help her, Lee decides it's the kindest thing they can do and they hand the gun over, letting her go out on her own terms. The group then returns to the pharmacy, shaken but silent. Sometimes there's just nothing left to say. Unfortunately, things are about to get worse. Lee figures the pharmacy keys might be on his brother, who he spots trapped under a power pole. He sneaks over and is forced to put him down. Back when this game first came out, I remember how much the scene just wrecked me. I have siblings myself, and the thought of having to do something like that, it hit me like a truck. It wasn't just the loss, it was the timing of it. Lee just got here too late. Too late to say goodbye, too late to help. I've always carried this fear that I'm not doing enough as a brother, that I'm not there when it really counts, that someday I'll look back and realize that I could have done more, should have done more, and didn't. So seeing Lee forced to look down at what's left of someone he once loved, knowing that there's nothing left to say and nothing left to fix, it felt way too real. He doesn't get closure, he doesn't get catharsis, he just gets the keys and silence. What really makes it sting is that Lee never talks about it. He doesn't tell Clementine, he doesn't confide in Carly or Kenny, he just carries it with him. Quietly. Alone. With the keys in hand, he unlocks the pharmacy's back door.
Oh no.
Things then go to hell fast. Doug, Lee, and Carly do their best to hold off the horde while the others evacuate, but the walkers manage to grab both Doug and Carly at the same time. With no time to spare, Lee runs to help Carly, sealing Doug's fate in the process. Lee then tries to catch up with the group when... Luckily, Kenny comes back and saves Lee at the last second. The group then retreats to the motel. While things seem bleak after losing one of their own and another leaving, the mood is surprisingly hopeful. The motel's got shelter, running water, and a defensible position. If they play their cards right, maybe, just maybe, they can ride this all out. Well, there are some complications. Larry pulls Lee aside and makes it clear. He knows about his past, about his murder trial and subsequent incarceration. If anything were to happen to Lily or Clementine, he's going to blow the whistle. It's not a subtle warning. It's not really about justice. It's about control, about fear. And as much as I can't stand the guy, I get it. He's scared. He doesn't trust anyone outside his own blood, and now he sees Lee as a threat to what little good is left in the world. It doesn't excuse what he does, but it does explain it. It doesn't help, however, that things are about to get a lot worse.
No more, please! No more, please! Please, please!
Damn it. What'd they get this time?
Looks like a rabbit.
Well, that's another meal lost.
Episode 2 begins after a 3-month time skip. The group has managed to turn the hotel into a makeshift community. We're then introduced to Mark, a soldier who was holed up at an overrun Air Force base. At the time, he had a whole stash of food and other essentials with him, so the group decided to bring him in. But those supplies didn't last long, and now the cracks are starting to show. With food running low and no real end in sight, frustration festers. The group is forced to hunt for whatever scraps they can find, and that's if the walkers don't get to them first. Every decision, every ration, goes through Lily, and that's made her the target of more than a few angry glances. People aren't just scared anymore, they're resentful. And resentment spreads fast. The game never outright states this, but I imagine Lily's experience in the military put her in a unique position to step up as the group's leader. It's not really a stretch to assume she's had to deal with this kind of pressure before the world even fell apart. And if you know anything about how women are treated in the military, especially in command roles, that probably gave her even more reason to prove herself here. Whatever the case may be, Lee and Mark's conversation gets cut short by a scream nearby.
Shit, was that Kenny?
I don't know. Come on.
Lee and Mark rush deeper into the woods where they find even more new faces. 2 students and their teacher who is screaming and bleeding out in a bear trap. Kenny, who was also out hunting, runs in to assess the situation, and it's chaos. As they try to get him out, they realize the trap's release latch has been deliberately removed, and to make things worse, all the noise has drawn the attention of nearby walkers. Lee tries to cut through the chain, but the metal's too thick. There's just no way to break it in time. Faced with this, there's only one option left, one thing that he can cut through.
Cut off his fucking leg! We don't have time for that. I'm sorry, but we have to go now.
This is one of the game's most violent and uncomfortable scenes. It's not about heroics, it's about survival. Sometimes survival means doing something horrific, because it's the only thing left to do. Unfortunately, the sight is too much for one of the students. He throws up and stumbles just in time to get grabbed by the walkers. The rest of the group has no choice but to leave him behind. The group makes it back to the motel, hauling the barely conscious teacher with them, and we go from one chaotic mess to another. Lily is justifiably angry. The group's already stretched thin. Bringing in 2 more mouths to feed only make things worse. It's not like the teacher's going to contribute much in the state that he's in. Kenny, of course, defends the decision. Leaving people out there to die? That's not who we're supposed to be. And right in the middle of it all, you can see Clementine quietly pulling the surviving student away, shielding him from the shouting. It's a small moment, but I find it really endearing and honestly kind of heartbreaking. Kids are a lot more empathetic than people give them credit for. Seeing Clementine acting far more grown up than she should be is just tragic. Back to the argument though, you can tell this is just one of many wedges being driven between Kenny and Lily. We're then given the choice to side with either of them, and I decide to go with Kenny. I get the need to protect your own, I do. But I just can't bring myself to turn away people who still have a fighting chance. Even if we can't let them stay, we could at least give them time to recover before they head off on their own. Regardless of our reasoning, the argument pushes Lily past her limit. She's just had enough. She hands us the food rations for the day and tells us to distribute it ourselves. When we look over what we have, we see that we have 2 packets of cheese and crackers, 1 piece of beef jerky, and half an apple. That's it. You now have to divide that between 10 people. Imagine being the one who decides this every single day. It's really no wonder why Lily's been so exhausted. She just wants to make sure that people that are already here can survive and possibly even thrive. Before deciding who gets to eat, I decide to take a moment to talk to the remaining student. His name is Ben, and he's the other character who I think gets a lot more hate than he should. He makes some big mistakes later down the line, and I'm not gonna minimize how much it screws people over. But every time I look at him, I see a kid just trying his best. Unlike Clementine, Ben is right at that age where people expect him to be a fully functioning adult when he just isn't. He's still a teen. He's gonna make mistakes, and I'm gonna say it, one of his mistakes probably saved the group from a much worse fate, but we'll get to there when we get there. I then go ahead and distribute the food. Clementine and Duck are automatic picks. I'm not gonna leave the kids hungry. An important thing to note though is that Clementine's hat has gone missing. Keep this in mind, it's going to be really important for later. Carly gets something to eat too, since she's just too good with her gun to leave hanging. And I have shipped her with Lee since I was a little kid, and I like to keep their relationship positive. Finally, I hand some food to Lily. She deserves a break with how much crap she's had to put up with lately. It's the least that I can do. Of course, Larry does what Larry does best, and he complains that he didn't get anything. Well, look at me, I'm Larry, I didn't get to eat. Oh, woe is me. Honestly, he can go suck a fat one. Kenny, on the other hand, takes it in stride. He's totally fine going without so that the kids can eat, and that's why he's my guy. Speaking of, a quick chat with him reveals that he's planning to fix up the RV. He wants to get everyone out of the motel before supplies run out completely. To be frank, I agree with him. This place isn't going to last much longer. As nice of a spot as it is, I don't think staying too long is going to be good for everyone. You can also check in with Mark and Larry who are fixing the perimeter wall. There's a really funny moment. If you tell Mark that Larry's a racist, he'll accidentally throw you under the bus when he tries to de-escalate one of your arguments with him.
come on, Larry. Give it a rest, man. Things are different. Being a racist is outdated.
Oh, and that's what you think this is?
It's not important to the plot, I just thought it was really funny. Katja then calls us over, informing us that the teacher has passed away. She'll then ask what we should do about Ben because... Just before Lee's bitten, Carly saves his life once again with her gun. This is why we keep her fed, people! For obvious reasons, there's a mixture of shock and anger from everybody thinking that Ben hid a bite on the teacher. This is when he reveals the shocking truth that everybody becomes a walker no matter how they die.
It's not the bite that does it. You come back no matter how you die. If you don't destroy the brain, that's just what happens. It's gonna happen to all of us.
And while the revelation is startling enough, it's just one thing after another when we hear Carly shouting at some strangers. We're then met by Andrew St. John, who is voiced by Adam Harrington, the guy who does Bigby's voice from The Wolf Among Us. Shameless plug, I have covered the game as well, links in the description and in the corner. We also meet this creepy gremlin of a brother, Dan. And I'm not just saying that because he looks weird, I just do not feel safe around this man. You'll get soon why. The two of them are here because they need gasoline for their generators. They have a farm nearby protected by electric fences, so keeping them topped up is a big priority. While everyone's wary, the promise of food does get their attention. Lily suggests Mark and Lee go ahead and see if the place is legit, with Carly and Ben volunteering to come along as well. With that, the six of them head off with a couple of gallons in tow. On the way there, we get to have a moment to talk with Carly. She's understandably tired of the rift that's forming between Lily and Kenny. According to her, if the group really does need a leader, she thinks Lee should be the one to step up. With things as they are with Larry, he can express his concerns about how everyone else would react if they knew about his past. She then insists that Lee shouldn't be too scared about it, as his actions now are far more important than his mistakes then. It's a rare kind of reassurance, especially in a world where forgiveness is in short supply. Then the St. John brothers start asking a few questions which start harmlessly enough. Where Lee grew up, how people are doing back at the motel, that kind of thing. But then it just starts feeling suspiciously probing as it goes on.
How many people you got over there anyway?
Enough to defend ourselves.
Well, that's good. It's getting dangerous out there. Well, you guys know. Well,
it's nothing serious yet, but staying cautious never hurts. Their conversation then gets interrupted by a nearby argument. Sneaking over, they see two bandits fighting over food shares. It ends fast and ugly when one of them guns the other down.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Jesus.
Asshole.
We then make it to the St. John Dairy, and compared to the motel, the place looks like a damn dream. They've got the electric fence, a ton of open space, and food! Actual food! Their mother, Brenda St. John, even greets us with freshly baked bread! Bread! Me personally, I'm weak enough to bread that I'd have cracked right then and there. She immediately starts asking about the group. How many people we have, what everyone does, the usual just curious questions that stop feeling casual real fast. When she mentions that the farm's cow has been feeling sick, Mark lets it slip that Katja's a vet. Which, yeah, might have been a little too much info to give away, but I get it. The group's hungry, they're offering food, we're all kind of itching to believe them at their word at this point. Everyone agrees it's worth checking out, so Carly and Ben volunteer to head back to the motel and bring the others over. Lee and Mark decide to stay behind and help out, starting with clearing the fence line of any walkers that might have wandered a little too close.
Holy fuck! What just happened?
The fences are on.
Why the hell would he turn the fence on? He knows we're out here.
Okay! Lee and Mark get ambushed by bandits. The whole time, they're shouting about some kind of deal that the St. John screwed them over on. Bit by bit, this place is feeling less and less safe. Eventually, the two of them make it back using the tractor as cover, arriving at the farm just as the others return from a Eventually, the two of them make it back using a tractor as cover, arriving at the farm just as the others return from the motel, barring Carly and Ben, who stayed behind to keep watch. Concerned for Mark's health, Katja and Brenda bring him inside while the rest of us try to make sense of what just happened. The St. John brothers explained that the bandits were people they were being extorted by to keep the farm from getting attacked. According to them, this was the first time the bandits had broken their deal, which I just do not believe. As much as I don't trust the St. John's, right now, the bandits are the bigger problem. Danny mentions he knows where one of their camps are and invites Lee to come along for some good old-fashioned get-back. But before we go, we've got one more important thing to do. Push Clementine on the swing because, god damn it, she deserves something nice after all the shenanigans and the tomfoolery.
How you holding up, Clementine?
I'm okay, I guess. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just a little worried about Mark.
Is Mark going to be okay?
You got lucky out there. Could have been a lot worse.
Are you going to find the people who hurt Mark?
Well, we have to make sure they don't hurt anyone else.
Be careful. I want you to stay lucky, too.
Ever since I met you, I've had good luck, so don't worry.
Okay.
With that out of the way, it's time to head out with Dan. We sneak over to the bandit camp and find it pretty much empty. Just a tent and a few scattered food boxes. Some from the local supermarket, others straight from the dairy. Dan doesn't think there's much worth salvaging, but I decide to snoop around anyway. We find a camera and Dan is suspiciously curious about it. Like, he just seems a little too relieved that the batteries are dead. Red flag? Red flag. Inside one of the tents, we find a photo of a mother and her daughter. There's a blood-stained doll nearby which, yeah, whatever happened here, it wasn't good. It then goes from sad to downright creepy. Clementine's hat, just sitting there. We don't even get a second to process it before we're held up by a woman with the crossbow.
I ain't going back. You tell him Jolene ain't going back.
Hey, we had a deal. No shooting as long as we gave you food. What the fuck happened?
You had a deal with them. I ain't them.
You can try to talk to her, ask questions, de-escalate, anything. But she's not interested in chatting. She's twitchy, angry, and she goes on about how the St. John's are hiding something. And then she looks Dan dead in the eye and says she knows exactly what he is. And that's all it takes. No hesitation, just bam. The way he brushes it off, all casual, like he just swatted a fly. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. With the woman dead and nothing else left of the camp, we head back to the farm. We arrive just in time to see Kenny and Lily arguing again. When we ask what's going on, Lily says Kenny's trying to break into the back of the barn. He thinks the St. John's are hiding something and, yeah, I agree with him. We head inside and, for a moment, things just feel normal. We see the kids are playing with the cow. Clementine's giggling, ducks being duck. It's actually kind of heartwarming seeing them just be kids, even for a little while.
What's this thing?
Daddy said it's called a salt lick. Yeah, but don't lick it. It's gross.
Did you lick it?
I don't know.
While we're at it, we give her her hat back. She's relieved, but when we ask if she saw anything weird or anyone who might have taken it, she says no, nothing. A mystery that we'll have to solve later, I suppose. We then move on to check the barn doors at the back and, speak of the devil, Kenny shows up. He's feeling just as paranoid about the place as we are, but with Andy hanging around, we'll have to be subtle about it.
Hey, Lee, you know how to pick a lock, right?
No. Why would you say that?
Well, you're, urban?
Oh, you are not saying what I think you're saying.
Jesus, man, I'm from Florida.
Crazy shit just comes out of my mouth sometimes. Sorry.
Sometimes Kenny's that one uncle that you do trust with your life, but will randomly drop the most out-of-pocket jokes in the middle of lunch, and you just wish that he could be a better person sometimes. Anyway, we find a multi-tool outside and use it to sabotage the generator, just enough to get Andy to step outside and fix it. While he's distracted, we unscrew the lock and finally get the doors open, and what we find is, well, it's bad. Blood everywhere. Hooks, saws, and some familiar looking bear traps.
Boy, didn't you hear the bell? Dinner time.
Why was there so much blood in there?
Look, we have food here, but Danny and I still gotta do a lot of hunting to keep everyone fed. When we catch something in the woods, we skin it and dress it back there. Mama doesn't like us to make a mess in the house, so you see, nothing to worry about.
Maybe that would fly in literally any other situation, but here, now, with how sketchy everything's been, I've been saying this a lot, but things aren't adding up. We go into the house, and while everyone's settling in for dinner, somebody's missing. Mark. Brenda says he already ate and is resting upstairs, but hell no. I have Lee come up with an excuse to go to the bathroom, and I then sneak upstairs to check things out. In our search, we find a hidden room where they've been keeping Mark.
Lee. Mark. What the hell happened?
Brothers.
What the hell happened to your legs, man?
Don't eat dinner.
What the actual fuck? We bolt downstairs and scream at Clementine to drop the food. Some of them have already begun eating, including Duck, the poor kid. We tell everyone that they're eating Mark's legs, and that's when the mask finally falls off. The St. Johns start going on about how they can't afford to waste good meat, and how this is what it takes to survive in these times. A familiar sentiment, but one that's frankly taken to a psychotic degree. They even tried to justify themselves by saying they only go after people who are gonna die anyway. Conveniently, that includes us. Then they pull out their guns and Andy grabs Clementine. Yeah, no, that's not gonna sit right with me. Before we can do anything, Dan knocks us out.
Open the goddamn door! You can't keep us in here! Open up! I will tear you fuckers apart with my bare hands!
We gotta find another way out of here!
You sick fucking bastards! Open this door, goddammit! I will knock the goddamn door down!
Now we're trapped. No food, no weapons, no plan. As if things couldn't get any worse, Larry has a heart attack.
I'll break that damn door down!
Dad, you can't get... Easy!
Oh, God.
Dad?
Lily panics and starts begging us for help. She insists that she can resuscitate him, but Kenny's not having it. To him, this isn't a maybe. This is a when. When Larry dies, he'll turn, and then we'll all be trapped in here with a 6'4", 300-pound walker. We're forced to choose. Try to save Larry, or to stop the threat before it starts. I chose to help Kenny. Not because I hated Larry, which I do, yeah. He was an asshole who made every conversation 10 times harder than it needed to be, and he tried to kill me too. But I don't think he deserves this. And having to hold Lily back the entire time just makes the process so much worse.
Please! No! No!
And then the weight sets in. The cold, hard truth that we've murdered Larry. He might have been alive. He might have been fine. He might have not been a good man, but he was Lily's dad. And no matter how many justifications we can give her that we needed to do this to survive, that he was going to be a danger to us all, watching someone you care about get executed like that, that's not gonna go away for her. And Clementine had to see all of it. I'm pretty sure this is the moment where the old world finally dies for her. This is where she learns that mercy doesn't always come first, that people you trust can make choices that break others. It's one thing to see the St. John's do what they did, it's another seeing Lee doing something scarily familiar. Be that as it may, we can't get bogged down by what ifs. We can only move forward with what is. We need to get out, and we're not exactly flush with options. Rifling Larry's pockets gives us a few coins, exactly what we need to unscrew an AC unit in the wall. It's too small for any of us to fit through, but it's big enough for Clementine. We ask her to crawl through and unlock the door from the outside, and she does it. She's scared, but she does it. The kid just watched a man's head get crushed in front of her, and she still found the courage to help us. She's stronger than most adults I've met. Stronger than me, honestly. We then exit out into the butcher's room and... God. Knowing that people were taken apart here, that Clementine had to walk through this place? Alone? Shit. We pick up whatever weapons we can find and sneak out to confront Dan. It's a short scuffle, and with Kenny's help, we manage to get him snagged in his own bear trap. Irony's a bitch, ain't it? As Kenny runs out to find his family, we're left with the option to kill Dan or leave him be. I chose the latter cause there's no real reason to kill him now, especially in front of Clementine. I know it's a little hypocritical after what happened with Larry, but I do try to keep any human kills with Lee strictly to what's necessary for the survival of the group. Killing Dan just doesn't accomplish anything. We then head into the house where Brenda's held Katja hostage, and I'm just gonna show you guys this really funny way to die really quick.
Stop right there! I mean it!
Put the gun down, bitch!
Ah!
What we're actually supposed to do is slowly back her up the stairs by being calm and reasonable, where she ultimately gets attacked by a now zombified Mark. With both her and Dan out of the way, all we have left to deal with is Andy. We run out to find him being confronted by Kenny. With him holding Duck hostage, Kenny impulsively runs at him and he gets shot in the gut for his troubles. It seems like we've got no options left until Carly, the cavalry that she is, shoots him in the ear, giving us the opening that we need to go for a grapple. This is why we keep her fed, people! The fighting continues, with both of them rolling down the hill. With Lee still starving and weak, Andy gets up first and drags him to the electrical fence to fry his face. He calls out to Lily, but she doesn't move to help. Everything's still too raw after what happened to Larry. We're on our own. Lee powers out of the hold and manages to flip the fight, pinning Andy to the ground, and this could have been the part where Lee just loses it. This could have been the part where he proves Larry right. All the fear, all the anger, the exhaustion, it could have all come out pouring right here. But I don't go for the kill. No big dramatic speech, no moral grandstanding, just enough. No more. Lee backs off, leading Andy broken and bloody in the dirt. After everything this family did, leaving them helpless for the dead to pick clean is far worse than anything I could have done. We then begin the trek back to the hotel. Exhausted, tired, worn. Just to put it in perspective, this all happened over the course of a single day. This was supposed to be a trip to get food, and now is just another scar for everyone. But before the episode ends, we have one last choice to make. One more decision that shapes who we are. A car, seemingly abandoned. It's filled with supplies. Food, medicine, even clean clothes. It's a practical goldmine for the group. But there's no one around. No walkers, no bodies, just stuff. Stuff that could save lives. Stuff that Clementine doesn't want to take. Even now, after all the things she's seen and experienced, she's still thinking about how these supplies belong to someone else. All the while,
The group are convincing each other that the owners must be dead, must be gone. Whether we say yes or no, they've already made up their mind. They're gonna take the supplies. The only choice in our hands is to either convince Clementine to partake or to abstain with her. And I tell her that we have to do this. It's hypocritical. It's selfish, it's immoral, but right now we need to do what we can if we want to live. So we help the others raid the car, even giving Clementine a hoodie that we find inside. Finally, Carly finds us some batteries that she hands over to us. A little funny in retrospect, but when we slot them into the camera we found back at the bandit camp.
Jake, Bart, Linda, and all y'all fucking sickos from the save lots. They call y'all bandits, but you're fucking rapists, what? Oh, darling baby, look at you. Look at you. Oh, you need a mama, sweetheart. We won't let them bandits get you, will we? No.
Okay,
Where's your hat?
I don't know. Can you help me find it?
Sure. When did you lose it?
I had it a couple days ago.
I promise. If
Y'all
I find
thinking
it,
you're
I'll
safe?
let you know.
Sitting there acting like things are the way they used to be. The dead don't kill their own. It's the living you gotta be afraid of. The people I used to call friends. The people who do... Don't worry, little girl. Bandits got their eye on that dairy. As long as they keep getting food from them, you'll be safe. I promise.